This is Natural Powerlifting Radio. Deadlifts, chicken nuggets, video games. This is Check My Total, a powerlifting podcast with Timothy Payne and Andrew Hinson.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another one of our episodes on the Check My Total podcast. Oh, that was some. Did y'all hear those trumpets? Becca was listening to trumpets. But anyway, welcome to another episode of the Check My Total podcast. This episode, we got the whole shebang on. We got Kyle, Ashley, T-Payne, and myself on. And today we're going to kind of go over this movie that they went to see that I didn't see because I was doing homework. So I haven't seen this movie, but it's titled something about vegetables.
Except not at all. The movie is called The Game Changers. So, the reason it's called The Game Changers is because it focuses primarily on athletes. And I'm going to call it a myth that you need animal product to get protein. So this movie dives into, all your sports athletes and why you don't need animal protein to get strong and faster and big, that you can turn pro without even touching a cow.
So this is a one-time movie event only, right? It's done.
Right. So they're already trying to pub it on all these digital platforms that you can buy it digitally on like October 1st or 2nd or something like that.
Order it on iTunes right now.
Yeah.
And like Timmy said, it's being released in October.
So how was it? Like, was it well done?
Oh, for sure. Like, I went in thinking this was going to be kind of a dry, boring documentary, but it actually comes from the viewpoint of an MMA fighter who has had an injury and he's trying to recover from the injury, and so started doing this exploration and research while he was down, trying to figure out how to recover quicker. And all the research that he came across kind of pointed to the fact that a plant-based diet allows for quicker recovery time. And he started finding these case studies in individuals, professional athletes who had switched over, and the advantage that it gave them in being able to switch over. So it was interesting from that viewpoint. It wasn't just a straightforward, here's information. There was a story attached to it all, which made a big difference.
Cool. Wait, who was the MMA fighter?
Well, I need to look that up, don't I? So the fighter,
There was a lifter on there too. Baboudian, is that how you say it?
Djibouti.
Patrick Baboumian.
Djibouti.
Patrick Baboumian, who is a strongman.
Is he the one with the neck beard?
Yes.
yeah, he's the guy from Germany.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But the MMA fighter's name is James Wilkes. He's kind of the narrator and, the guy who has the story that they push the narrative through. But he won the Ultimate Fighter, so he was on the TV show. I'm not sure what season he was on, but I'm thinking it was the one that was like UK versus US. Like Bisbing was the coach.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, this guy, he's from the UK, but he won the show that year, whatever season this is.
It's they start breaking down a lot of the cool thing is that they don't just launch into what we would argue is kind of an ethical vegan argument where it's like you shouldn't eat animals because they have feelings and all that kind of stuff. It was more focused on
Health.
looking at what the dietary really where our dietary protein, carbohydrates, what do we really need to be top performers as humans, and how are we designed as humans to get our energy, and where so that was a big chunk of it. I mean, they had an Olympic lifter on there, they had a Olympic level runner, they had an Olympic level cyclist, They had an ultra marathoner, strongman, boxer.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else.
So the Olympic lifter's name was Kendrick Ferris. He's broken the American record more than once. He's yet to place higher. I think he's been on the podium in the Olympics, but I don't know if he's placed higher than third. Morgan Mitchell is the runner, the track runner. I'm not quite sure. I've heard
She's
Yeah, she's Australian.
Yeah.
So she specializes in the 400 meters and the 800 meter. And then the cyclist, the lady, her name is Dotsie Bosch, if I'm pronouncing this right. Dorothy Lee Bosch. And she is a 7-time U.S. cycling national champion and then 2-time Pan American champion. And she's won a silver. Yeah, and she's won a silver medal in the Olympics. And like Kyle was about to say, she's like in her 40s.
Yeah, she's the oldest, I think, in her division to ever win the medal, right?
Yeah, she's the oldest person in, I think, the whole event. Like, male and female to have ever reached the podium at the Olympic level, which is pretty impressive. And a lot of these athletes have the same story. You know, they're high-level athletes to begin with, and then for whatever reason, they do their research or they decide to try going plant-based and eliminate animal products, and their performance is higher. So a lot of these people are saying, I didn't make it to the Olympics until I went plant-based. I didn't reach this, level until
I should have been washed out. Her thing was like she should have been washed out
with the Olympics, and she's like, and that's when I was reaching my peak, and that's just very interesting.
Yeah.
So to go back to this Kendrick Ferris guy, the Olympic lifter, he got gold in the Pan American Championships, but as far as the Olympics go, the highest he's placed is 11th. So I was off a little bit on that.
Going to the Olympics is cool.
Yeah.
So what was the I don't know. Did all of these people have the same plant-based diet, or they do things differently?
Some of them, they didn't really go very in depth in the diet, each individual diet really. They did show the strongman guy, Baboonian. Is that his name?
Baboonian.
Let's call him Patrick.
Patrick Baboonian.
He eats a lot of like the fake meat stuff, but I don't know.
Tofu?
Yeah, like tofu, or like they make fake everything now. They make fake chicken and fake hot dogs and hamburgers and all this stuff, and so he eats a lot of that. But I don't. As far as the other athletes, they didn't really say a whole lot about that, I don't think. I know some, when they get on a plant-based diet, they go more whole foods. So
yeah,
I'm not sure.
All right, Andrew, you got your kilograms to pounds converter out?
Dude, I'm one Google search away.
All right.
KG to pound. All right, I'm ready.
This Patrick guy, he started being a vegetarian in 2005. And then he became a vegan in 2011. Well, anyways.
So what is the qualifying difference between vegetarian and vegan?
All right, go ahead, Kyle.
Vegetarians still eat dairy and...
Sometimes some eat eggs, too.
Right, dairy products and animal byproducts. Plant-based or vegans eat no animal byproducts or animal products whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, they won't even eat honey because it's produced by animals.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, no cheese, no milk, no eggs. Well, anyways, in 2007, he had a 215-kilogram bench press.
215 kg? So, 474 pounds.
Okay, his squat was 370 kilograms.
That would be 816.
Phew, and his deadlift was 360 kilograms.
That is 794.
Okay. And so that's 2 years. Well, I guess he was still vegetarian back then. But some other accomplishments this guy had. He used to be a bodybuilder. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
A German bodybuilder. And he got his
A
pro
picture
card.
of
Do what?
y'all who are listening just need to look up a picture of this dude. He's interesting.
Yeah, he was bodybuilding in 1999, and he's pretty ripped up. This picture I'm looking at.
Really?
So he switched to strongman in 2007. So when he started becoming vegetarian.
Interesting.
So,
but during the course of the movie, he breaks a world record.
He attempts to. I guess he does it.
Yeah, that's what they show at the very end.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So
after the fact.
So this world record that he was trying to break was walking 10 meters with a yoke, and the most. I don't remember the most it was, but the record. He actually broke this thing twice. Now that I'm looking at it, the first time he broke it was in 2013, and it was 550 kilograms. And what's a meter? Is that three? Is that like a yard?
3 feet. It's 3 feet.
So he had to walk.
Well, hold on.
Anyways, he had to walk 30 feet with whatever 550 kilograms is.
That's about 12, 15,
yeah.
1,215.
And then he broke it in 2015 with 560, and he did it in 28 seconds.
Well, yeah, meters 3 feet, 3.37 inches. So yeah, about 30 feet.
Okay. Oh. He was German strongest man 2011. Europe's strongest man in 2012. So he's doing a lot of stuff being plant-based.
Yeah.
A lot of them also were saying that it's a lot about recovery, and that they just found that they were recovering from workouts and training quicker than when they were on a meat-based diet.
Yeah. Well, and also the other thing,
or they trained, so.
And the other thing that they kind of did throughout this whole movie was that they did a few experiments. And one of the one that probably stood out the most to me was they did a blood test. They took 3 college level athletes. No, I'm sorry. They took 3 NFL athletes, right, Timmy?
Yeah, from the Dolphins. It was like
go.
Kenny Stills and 2 other ones.
So they fed them on 2 individual days back to back. They fed them 2 different meals and took their blood like an hour after they let them eat. And so the first day there was the control, the one individual who was already a plant-based person, but one person got a steak burrito, he got a plant-based burrito, and the other one got a chicken burrito, like a grilled chicken burrito. They all 3 ate the burritos. They waited. They took their blood, took samples, and then they brought them back the next day. They showed them. They separated. You know, they put it in a centrifuge, separated it, and the amount of fats and basically it was fats in their blood. Their blood was cloudy from the fat that they had eaten in that burrito, whereas the plant-based individuals was clear. The next day they fed them all burritos and all plant-based burritos and did the same thing. And they took their blood again, separated it out, brought them back the next day, and within just that short a time span of them eating it, their blood compared to the prior day was clearer.
It's
and
crazy
so how
fast that happens.
Yeah.
Like one meal made a difference in the way their blood looked, which was crazy to me.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
That's what stood out. And then they kind of went into this thing about why recovery works better for them. And it's because of vascular constriction that what they found in this research is that animal-based proteins and dairy create vascular constriction because of inflammation. They actually create more inflammation in the body. So they take resources that could be used to recover and have to push them out to help digest and deal with the animal protein and dairy. Whereas those eating plant-based diets don't have that same level of inflammation, and therefore can recover quicker from their workouts and their events.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And they actually showed some cross sections of veins and arteries and stuff of what they look like before and after, and it's kind of crazy how much of a difference that it makes. Wilkes kind of talked about how he couldn't really do anything that required his knees because while he was recovering from his surgery, and so he would go into the gym and do the ropes. What are those called?
The battle ropes.
Yeah, the battle ropes. And so the record at his gym was like, if you got 20 minutes, you got your name on the wall. And so he had switched over to a plant-based diet and had been on it for like a month, maybe. Was it something like that? A month, 6 weeks, something?
Yeah,
like
I was thinking more like 3 weeks, but yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
And so he goes in and he's doing these exercises with the battle ropes. And he's like, and I went 20 minutes. And he was like, and I just felt like I could keep going, so I did. And he ended up going like, what, an hour and 20 minutes, something like that?
Yeah.
And then he finally quit because he was just like, I was bored. I was tired of doing it, so I just quit. But everybody else was gassed after 20 minutes. And so, yeah, it's really interesting, this concept that, and the reasons, they kind of get into some of the reasons as to why animal proteins, they go into some history too as to why animal protein was publicized as helpful for vitality and energy. And it goes way back.
Well, it really got big in the 50s.
So is the consensus that that any animal protein is bad, is not as good as plant, or like is there ever a time to use animal-based protein?
Their argument is any kind of meat, no matter how lean, no matter if it's organic, grass-fed. And, Kyle was talking about those burritos and the blood tests. Those were all grilled meats that were lean, that were organic, all the things. And their blood was still clouded up. And so their argument is any kind of meat, no matter how good it is, in theory, is still not good on your system.
The way the documentary breaks it down is that protein only comes from animals because the animals are eating the plants. So when humans
it's the middleman.
Exactly.
Yeah, the animals are kind of the middlemen in the process.
So why even go through the middleman when you can just start off by eating the plants?
So all animals get protein from plants?
Yeah.
Like they're not born with protein?
Well, I mean, I guess like any mammal, you're in your mama or whatever and getting your protein.
But the big myth is that you have to have animal protein to get protein in your body, and again, it's a myth. The animals get it from somewhere. Patrick Baboumian talks about people told him you gotta eat meat if you want to be strong as an ox, and he's like, but what does an ox eat?
Have you ever seen an ox eat meat?
Yeah, and it's like oxen don't eat meat. They sit around and eat all day and grain, and they get strong off of that. And they actually go into the science of that. How plant protein is far superior to animal protein, because animal protein actually contains within it some harmful compounds that cause this inflammation, whereas plant proteins tend to have amino acids that are helpful in constructing, and repairing muscle fiber instead of inflaming it.
One of the overarching themes that all these athletes talk about is when they get on the plant-based diet, their recovery time is so much quicker. It's almost like they never even had a workout to begin with.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about, but it's exactly because of what Kyle just said. You're not inflamed, and I know as far as lifting goes, probably all that lactic acid and stuff doesn't build up as much, or at least it flushes out way quicker.
Yeah, and you're not adding to the lactic acid buildup because you're not
introducing acid to begin with.
Yeah, you're not pushing more acid into your body. And one of the things that was it Babumium talked about, or the Olympic lifter talked about, was gout being an issue. No, it was Arnold, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Arnold, bodybuilders.
Oh yeah, by the way, Arnold Schwarzenegger is in this movie advocating for this. And which, granted, side note, he has invested interest because he's a producer in it, but he's producing it because he believes in it on some level. He talked about how gout was one of the biggest problems because of this buildup of uric acid in the body. Because these people were eating, he was like, when I first started, I was chugging raw eggs and
That's so gross.
Doing all this stuff to get more animal protein in because they told me I needed animal protein. And that's the biggest myth, I think, of all for the supplement industry is like, if you want to get big, if you want more energy, you've got to have protein, have this protein bar, have this protein powder. And really your energy doesn't come from the proteins, it comes from the carbohydrates and quality carbohydrates. And so that's part of the reason these people are able to perform for longer periods, is because they have the energy they need to push their muscles further. And then once they recover, they've got the quality protein they need to repair those muscles. And the body's got dedicated resources to it that's not having to deal with other inflammation. So it's a really good watch for anybody who is looking to perform on any level.
That's interesting. I wonder. So all these animals eat vegetables, and they're big and strong. But what happens to some of these other animals? Like, what about a lion that kills and eats other things? Does it not have the same inflammation? Would a lion be better if it just ate grass?
No, they actually cover this in the movie as well, which is interesting. Most carnivores have a digestion or digestive tract that is very short. They basically eat and it goes right through them, and their body gets what they need from it, and they're done with it. Humans and other plant eaters have these digestion. I can't say it. The tract.
Digestive tract.
That is really long, and it's built for breaking down fibrous things like vegetables and absorption and all this stuff. And, meat in a carnivore is just going to go right through. And like I said, they're going to get what they need. But in a plant eater, it sits in your intestines and it takes a long time, and then you get inflamed, and your body has to work in a different way than it does digesting, a bowl of beans or something like that.
The length of a human, digestive tract is 30 feet, and the length of adult lion is 3 feet.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, yeah. another thing that we didn't even talk about is that they start off this whole documentary like Kyle was saying, old dude blows his knees out MMA. So while he's researching the best way to recover, he stumbles across gladiators.
Oh,
So however many years ago, hundreds of years ago, gladiators were considered, top of the line athletes. Like, LeBron James would be a gladiator, his nutrition and everything. So with modern technology, they found some kind of huge gravesite with all these gladiators buried in it. So they dug them up, they tested the bones, blah, 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 blah. And while they were testing these bones, they found out that they were bean-based and not beef-based. So all these gladiators were on a plant-based diet while they were gladiating because it made them, bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
Gladiating.
They called them the bean and barley eaters is what was the nickname given to them. Like,
well, I think that's
bean
what
and barley eaters.
Isn't that maybe not gladiator, but whatever the Greek name was, that's what it translated to, or Roman name.
Yeah, bean and barley eaters.
Yeah, so
That's
even
I forgot about that.
And another little cool tidbit is that, while they were talking about the animals and the digestive tracts and everything, is that the back teeth of, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, their back teeth are, pointy and sharp, made for shredding meat. And humans, ours are, flat and square, made for like gnashing and grinding, which is what you need for eating plants. So even our teeth are made different.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of little stuff in there that gets you to thinking.
And I think what I appreciated about this movie as well is there was an encouragement. People, Arnold goes in this whole discussion. It's like everybody I talk to is like, I can't do this, I can't do this. And they take an all or nothing approach to it. And he's like, start where you are. And he's like, start one night a week, but then build off of that where you're not, jumping in head first. If you have a hard time letting go of this stuff, ease yourself out of it. And he advocates that one night, have one meatless day a week and then move to 2 or 3 until you find yourself not needing it anymore.
Yeah.
Which is a reasonable approach. I mean, it would be probably better if you weren't eating that stuff at all. But, yeah.
Well, and I think it's important for us to say right now, like, we advocate this, but we are not good at practicing it. I am not.
It's hard.
For the last, it's probably been 3 years now. My dad and Kyle and I and my mom, we have gone on and off of this plant-based thing. And it's not because we don't believe in it. It's because we are humans who like to eat food. And when you go 30, in my case, I've going 30 years eating hamburgers, right? And meat and all this stuff. And so I can go strong on this plant-based thing and then I let my old habits take over. That's not a good excuse.
Right.
I've done it for long enough stints of time to where I can tell you by experience how much better I feel. And so it's stupid I keep backsliding. I need to just give it up and go on, But I think the longest stint I've gone without meat is like 5 months, 4.5 months, 5 months, something like that. I never felt better. I was walking 3 miles every morning around the neighborhood. And I'm a big person. I lost 40 pounds. Sitting here talking about this, I'm so stupid because I need to go back and do just that and get it done. But, I was walking, I'm a big girl. I was walking 3 miles and my miles were, at my best, I was hitting less than 16 minutes a mile. I was not running, I was walking. And, I would get kind of sore as the day went on, but I would go to sleep and I'd wake up and I would feel fine and I would do it again. Yeah. And my allergies were better. I was breathing better. I was sleeping better. overall, I could eat a meal and not feel like I needed to go take a nap. This is something that I really believe in, and I've really got to get back on it. And I'm glad I went to see that movie because it's lit that fire again.
Yeah, it was a good reminder of where we've been, what we've done, and why we need to go back to it. And another group that we didn't mention earlier that was in this movie, who probably one of the biggest advocates of eating a crazy heavy meat based diet was these NFL players. The Tennessee Titans, was it the O line or the D line, Timmy?
Defensive.
It was defensive line.
It was Derek Morgan. He's a linebacker.
Okay. So these players for the Tennessee Titans, Derek Morgan started off being kind of the only one.
Would cook for him.
Yeah, his wife would cook for him, and other players would see what he would get. And that's the other thing is like this idea that you have to starve if you're on a plant-based diet. And man, the food she was making in that movie looked spectacular. But she's cooking for these football players, and they're pretty picky individuals.
Sending the food with him, and at first they're like making fun of him, like, "Oh, you're not going to get what you need." Well, then they started noticing he was kicking their butts in training, and then they start thinking, well, that food does look good. So then a few more start saying, hey, bring us some of that food. And now it's turned into a business for her. She makes food for like half of the team and delivers it to them.
And the stuff they talked about eating in a pregame, I thought, good grief, if I would have eaten that before playing any sport, it's like the thought would just make you feel like you're weighed down and heavy.
Eat steaks, ribs, and chicken, and just all this protein stuff right before a game,
Yeah, if I'm remembering this right, it started off she was just making food for her husband, but on a football team you got 53. It's a 53-man roster, and I think my brain just shut off. Anyways, by the time this documentary came out, which I don't know, I'm guessing they shot it probably
last year.
Yeah, it might be 2 years old at most. But anyways, 23 players on the team were using his wife's food service.
Yeah. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, so 23 out of 53.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, for those of us who saw it, Andrew, what rating system are you using this time? Are you asking?
0 to 10.
0
to 10. What?
Bowls of beans to 10 bowls of beans.
Yeah. What's your bean rating of this movie? 0 to 10. How many beans do you give this movie?
Well, my favorite beans are jelly beans. So.
Oh dear.
As far as just being a movie, like a documentary and just something to watch, 10 out of 10. But a lot of the information, since we've been so not consumed, but so, I don't know, we've been researching it for, like Ashley said, 3 years or so. A lot of the info we already knew going into the movie. So for us, it wasn't too eye-opening as far as the information went. But as far as the movie itself and the way it was produced, kind of like what I was saying about that West Side movie, I already knew a bunch of the stuff before we even watched that thing. But just as a documentary, I'd say like 9 or 10.
So 10 jelly beans.
10 jelly beans.
All right, Ashley, what about you? What kind of beans do you got? Timmy's got jelly beans.
I went Timmy on production. I'm going to say 10 pinto beans out of 10.
Pintos.
I like pintos, man. Well, I like to mix the pinto beans and the white beans together. Those are the best. Anyway, so 10 out of 10 in production, and I'm going to give it an 8 as far as just information. And there I say several, but there are 2 really big documentaries that are on Netflix. One is Forks Over Knives, and that's like the OG. That's been out for a long time now. But there's another one that's come out a little bit more recently, and that's called What the Health. And out of the documentaries on plant-based things I've seen, What the Health is my most favorite because it goes deeper into the science of it, and I like that. I mean, I've never been a huge athlete, and so it was impressive to me that these athletes are performing so high on a plant-based diet. Like, that's really cool, and I feel like if you are an athlete, it's worth giving Game Changers a chance, because that might get you, that might, that might light your fire. But I really liked What the Health, because that gave me the facts and the research and the things that I like to see. So I'm going to give it an 8 for that and a 10 for production. And it's just really good to watch.
All right. On my scale, I'm going to give the production, I'm going to give the production 9.5 butter beans.
Butter beans.
But
I want to give the information, and I think the reason I'm giving the information 10 is because they did some experiments within the movie itself to back up what they were saying,
right? And
they gave technical information. And I think, again, another myth that was busted was this idea of, well, soy has estrogen in it, and you can't
don't need to
take
have
that
estrogen. Yeah.
Right. And actually it's phytoestrogen, which blocks normal estrogen, which we would get from meat products. So animal products. So yeah, 10 butter beans out of 10 for the info, 9.5 for production value.
When is butter bean? When did that become your favorite bean? Like, I don't. Catch me up here.
Catch me outside.
Wait, what was the most? Did they show a bunch of plant-based meals? Like, were there any meals that looked really good?
Okay, the girl whose husband is in the NFL and she was cooking for all those guys, she made something called potachos. And so she roasted a bunch of potatoes. It's like potato nachos. Potachos. So she roasted a bunch of potatoes and she made this like fake cheese sauce. And I don't know what all was in it. It's usually like blended up cashews and other stuff to make it taste like cheese, different herbs and spices. And then so she covered it in that sauce, and she had like guacamole and like tomatoes and onions and all this, and jalapenos and all this good stuff on it. That looked really good.
It looked real good.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest challenge of a plant-based diet is I just don't know how to mix it up and not eat bean burritos all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is good, but they can get old after a while.
Yeah. And that's one of the things is like fast food, you don't really have an option, but it's becoming more prevalent. One of the things, and I just kind of thought of this, one of the things that they did say is deficient, but which is basically deficient even in animal diets nowadays, is vitamin B12. And that's really the only supplement that those who are on a plant-based diet would need, because traditionally B12 didn't come from animals. Again, animals are the middlemen. Animals don't get B12 or don't generate B12 within themselves. They get it from the plants that they eat.
Or from the dirt that's on something they eat.
Right, the dirt that's on the plants that they eat, because it is a naturally occurring vitamin that comes from bacteria. And so you need to supplement that. But they did say that like the meat industry has to supplement that themselves. Even the animals that are grown don't get enough of that vitamin on their own. So
interesting. I wonder why no one gets enough B12.
Well, because of the sterilization and safe food practices that we have, which granted they're there to keep us from getting sick, but they so thoroughly wash and disinfect and sanitize and pasteurize everything that they kill off the naturally occurring B12.
Oh. Spraying those chemtrails.
Yeah. But what are some? Let's give Andrew some vegetable ideas. Kyle, what are some of your favorites? Other than
I'll go ahead in a minute right now before y'all start telling me these ideas. I'll go ahead. I will go. Well, I don't know when I'll do this. If it's for the Check My Total challenge in January, or if it's next month or the month after. I will go. I will give it a shot. I will go plant-based for at least a month.
What?
Now
you heard it here, folks.
Maybe I'll start vegetarian, and maybe go the full length. Maybe I'll still keep some cheese in there, but
we could do a mini challenge and do like 7 days or 14 days plant-based and
what
wants to.
Did the people in the documentary start seeing effects within a couple weeks?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And 100% vegan. I will go 100% vegan for.
I'm gonna say 14.
I'll do it for. I'll do it for 14 days. I'll go 100% vegan for 14 days.
Okay, I'm with you. I'll do it too.
When are we doing it?
Well, I got Becca. Are you? All right, Becca. So here's what. Have you been listening? Have you been listening to our conversation, or have you been asleep? All right.
She's probably like, "Find a nap. Leave me alone."
Here's what I'm saying. You don't have to do this if you don't want. But I'm gonna try and go vegan for 14 days and eat just beans and
plants.
Hold on. Let's give you some options. So
hold on. Becca, put the mic on. Becca, put the mic on. Becca, well, you can just talk in the mic. I'll turn them up. Becca, what do you think about going vegan?
This is like you're proposing to her again.
What do you think about? Well, no. Let me just ask you. What do you think about me taking on the challenge for 14 days to eat vegan for 14 days? What do you think about me doing that?
You're gonna miss the beef.
You will. You'll miss it.
I probably will miss it. So, all right, y'all pick the day and the start, and I will for 14 days. And now y'all give me some recommendations so I don't just sit here and eat beans.
Let me give you a day.
Too. We can post this podcast and then see if anybody's interested in joining, and then we can pick a date and go with it.
Well, we'll post it this Friday, and people have some time to come to the bandwagon if they want.
That's right.
Okay. So let's give you. I'm going to give you a day, like an example of what would be what I may fix for a day's lunch, and I'll give you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then Ashley, do you want to do a breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Sure.
Okay.
They're going to give me breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Becca.
So here's the recommendations. So generally, to start your day off, when I've been extremely successful, I have. For breakfast, I would generally have something like some overnight oats. So I just take some oatmeal, I put some soy milk or some
any kind
coconut
of milk.
Do what? Milk. Or almond milk in it the night before. Set it in the fridge. You can put some chia seeds in there. That kind of helps get the consistency right, but I'll let that soak overnight. In the fridge, and it'll soak it up. Good oatmeal, but then I also take some fruit with it, so I'll generally get like an apple. I tend to like real. Do what?
I said bananas are good for people who like bananas. Those are good in there.
Bananas are good in it. Also, you could take some peanut butter and scoop that in there if you wanted to. So that would be like breakfast with some water, maybe some coffee, maybe even tea. Try to get some tea in instead of coffee. So that would be kind of a breakfast for me. And generally what I'll do is the oats fill you up pretty well, but getting a couple apples in there just to get your energy up and get you going for the day. For snack, for lunch, I would have like carrots and hummus with like a wrap. And it wouldn't just be like kind of a regular veggie wrap. I would put potatoes and spinach and probably some hummus and some banana peppers and pickled pickled onion, like pickled red onions or something in there, or like even some pickles itself, like bread and butter pickles. So you got like sweet, sour kind of flavor in there. But get a wrap or a sandwich like that. They make sprouted grain bread that's really good with no animal product in it. So that would be like my lunch. And then for supper, I would come home and probably have a big bowl of like meatless chili. So it's beans, onions, different types of beans, peppers, yeah, and just really build that out. But have a nice warm bowl of chili that I can enjoy. So that would be like a full day of eating. And good thing is you can eat about as much as you want, and it's not going to weigh you down real hard. So that'd be a day for me.
Huh.
All right. I don't love breakfast. Usually I kind of do some intermittent fasting when I'm actually eating right. But if I were to eat breakfast, I'd probably just throw a smoothie together. Some frozen fruit, frozen bananas. I don't really like bananas, but I will say they blend up really easily. If you cut them up and freeze them, and then you put them in your smoothie the next morning, they blend up really easily. And for people who like bananas, it tastes good. They even make like a plant-based protein powder. If you want to do that, you can do a scoop of protein powder in there. But I would generally do some like frozen fruit, some water, maybe some flax seeds, a handful of spinach. So I'm getting some greens in there, blend it up, then I can drink on it. Yeah. And then for lunch, most of the time for lunch, I eat whatever we had for dinner the night before. I'll try to make enough so we'll have leftovers enough for lunch the next day. So it might be a big giant salad, or it might be brown rice and beans, or I mean, there's any variety of things. Like you can, the thing about a plant-based diet is as long as you are staying away from processed stuff, like you don't want to eat like a whole loaf of bread or anything like that. But if you want to eat a bowl of rice and you want to eat 2 bowls of beans, you can eat as much as you want to, and your body is still going to use what it needs and digest it. So you're not going to be putting on fat if you're not eating a lot of fat or processed things. And so anyway, for lunch, you could even go as far as getting a really good, like Dave's Killer Bread is a really good whole grain bread, and it's got like 13 different grains and seeds in it. So I like to, if I'm going to eat bread, I like to buy something that's going to give me some nutrition bang for my buck, and you could get like a natural peanut butter and have peanut butter sandwiches. This doesn't have to be something that's hard, you don't have to like be a chef in the kitchen. Like, just get you some high quality ingredients and throw them together in a sandwich or a wrap, or eat a bowl of beans. Anybody can throw beans in a crock pot, For dinner, I might want pasta one night. So instead of getting the white pasta, I might buy some of this protein pasta. You can buy that at Kroger. It's got it's made out of like white beans and chickpeas and stuff like that. And so you can cook up pasta, and most, just plain pasta sauces are vegan. You can check the label. Some of them try to throw some cheese in it, so watch that. But a lot of just traditional pasta sauces in the jar are dairy free. You can throw in some pasta sauce, and that's an easy dinner you can have, and you're getting that protein because it's hidden in your pasta. So there, that's just some easy options you can do. But the longer you're on a plant-based diet, you start to get more adventurous because you get tired of eating just beans, and so you'll start buying different vegetables. And one of my favorites is just like a vegetable stir fry and rice and soy sauce. I mean, it's nothing crazy. You just buy simple ingredients and make simple things.
Interesting. So when you're making these smoothies,
Yes.
what do you use water?
I either use water or like whatever kind of plant milk I've got in the fridge. It's really depending on what I'm feeling like and what I've got. I've done them with water. I've done them with almond milk, soy milk, cashew milk. And like I said, we've got this. I don't love protein powder, but we've got a plant-based protein powder you can throw in there. But if you're a if you like bananas, let your bananas get really ripe, like get spotted, and then peel them and cut them up and put them in a bag and freeze them. And they will make your smoothie really good. Anyway, I feel like I've been talking too much, but if y'all are still listening, congratulations. If you want to join us on our plant-based journey, 14 days, come on.
14 days. I'll see how it goes. We'll see how it all goes down.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I guess I'll wrap this thing up. Becca,
Wrap it up.
Do you have anything to say? The crowd wants to know what you have to say about pinto beans. Tell the listeners the inside of the pinto beans. Don't shake your head. Don't be scared. This is only the internet you're talking to. Half these people probably don't have an IQ above 70. Just say what you want about pinto beans. You like them?
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. The wife likes pinto beans. Ladies and gentlemen, the outcome of this podcast is me, the beef lover, chicken lover, wing eater, chicken tender nugget eater, lifetime long mozzarella stick eater is going to do the vegan challenge for 14 days. I don't know when we're starting, but we're going to start sometime soonish. Listeners, if you want to join in, come in and support us. It's going to be hard for me. It's going to be something challenging. And let me tell you, if all I'm eating is pintos, then Becca better get that plunger ready, because that toilet's going to get clogged up, baby. I'm telling you, I'm wild on the beef. I'm going to be wild on the bean chili, boys. The onions, the lentils, the almond milk. It's all going to make my toilet clog. It's all coming down to one final moment. I might get evicted from my apartment for doing this challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, close the lid. Get the snake, get the Bob Willis plunger out, and get ready to snake for days, because I'm going bean life, baby!
We're out.
We're going bean live, baby.
Up next is Iron Boy Nationals. The event will be on October 18th and 19th. That Friday evening will be our bench-only competition, and on the 19th, Saturday, will be the full power event. It will be held in Belmont, North Carolina, and once again, that's October 18th and 19th. We hope you come out, lift, watch, and support the event. See y'all later.
Please subscribe, and thank you for listening. Be sure to follow @CheckMyTotal on Instagram for all the latest updates.
All right, so we're going to drop this whole thing Friday the 27th.
That's fine. Just people got to listen to the whole hour is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
That's okay. They got to be dedicated. If they ain't willing to listen to a whole hour, maybe I don't want them on the challenge.
I'm going to leave that in here.
Yeah, leave it in there, man. Yeah, make an announcement. You know, you can put it on the Instagram if you want to hear about the challenge. Fast forward if you really want to hear about it.
Fast forward to timestamp.
Yeah, fast forward if you really want to hear it. I'm telling you, I'm not. Look, man, you gotta listen, man. You gotta listen to at least a decent amount.
Yeah.